Hello, lovely viewers. We are here once again, the special Wednesday with Catherine Cujo, aka Keymama, as you all know. Today is another day God has made. Okay, let me see. I'm getting a feedback. Mhm. We, we are getting a feedback, so let's see what we can do. So we take off the feedback from there. It's not good to have a feedback. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we are all set to go. Technology always, if you're doing one man show, producers and everything, you get a feedback. But thank you for joining us today. And today we have this wonderful gentleman you can see on the screen. And he's going to tell us who he is, what he does, and where we are going from here. So, welcome to Keymama Show. If you can hear me from your end.
Thank you, madam. I'm excited to be part of this wonderful program, and I deem it a great honor and privilege to be hosted on this show. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a nice and spicy intro you gave us. Can you please tell us more about yourself?
Yes, my name is James Ehiawey, a native of Elok Krobo, a municipality in the eastern region. By way of professional background, I'm a medical laboratory scientist and a public health specialist. Public health, my specialty is in adolescent health. Um, I think that's by way of introduction in terms of my background.
Oh, okay. I have some blockage from the end here. Okay. Like I said, today is a wonderful day to have you here, and we are going to go accordingly. My viewers and listeners are on point. Uh, wanted to know, when we say adolescents, what area can you give us a brief background about the adolescents initiative that you're working on, and what is it about for those of us who don't get it?
Okay, when you talk about adolescents, since we are not in classroom, I will not give any standard definition, any textbook definition, but I think um, normally people, depending on the scholar, some say 10 years to 19, some say 12 to 19. But for purposes of our discussion, I want us to limit it to 14 to 19-year-old people. The period of adolescence is characterized by rapid changes, both physically, mentally, psychologically, even emotionally. Because now the adolescent is not an adult, neither is the adolescent also a kid. Because when you talk about a kid, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, you have to bath that kid and whatever. But when it comes to adolescent, he is not one of these young people. On the other hand, the adolescent is also not an old person who, let's say, is earning some income and is able to take care of himself and for himself. So you see, most of the World Health Organization programs have targeted the adults and the children, leaving out the adolescents. So we talk about under 5 programs, malaria under 5, whatever under 5, or maternal health, which is older people. Do you get me?
Right.
Therefore, it is very important that we pay attention to this cohort of people. The reason being that whatever happens during this period is what they carry into their adulthood.
Yeah.
So if the child is emotionally abused, he will grow to become a timid person. If the child lives in an environment where they are very aggressive, he will grow up being very aggressive and somebody who like conflict and fighting and all those kind of things. If you check the history of all of us, between me and you talking, if we can check our adolescent years, you could see that most of the things we're doing are the very things we've continued to adulthood.
Right.
Only few situations that things change. Therefore, it is very important that we target this group. Remember, if you take the upper limit and the lower limit, adolescents contribute about 1/4 of the world population. And they come with myriad of issues. The health one is there. So you can talk about issues. I know we'll go deep into that. Issues of drug abuse,
Right.
teenage pregnancy, all those kind of things. These are the, let's say, things that they do that make them socially unfit. So that's the reason why we need to focus on adolescent period as a very important stage in the development of every individual.
So what really drive you into this field? I understand you mentioned that the focus area is between the younger, from babies to 5, then the adults. So the in between, they are stuck. So what really motivates you to focus on that area?
Yes. When I went to graduate school for Masters in Public Health, I was privileged to have been on the World of Organization scholarship on human reproductive health. And we were supposed to choose one area. And knowing where I come from the Yilo Kobo area, I realized that a lot of young people, there is a lot of teenage pregnancy. So I decided that I would then research into that area. So I set out to review the demographic and health survey of Ghana 2007 and 2017 and do a 10-year comparison study to understand the dynamics of adolescent issues in Ghana. So I look at issues like age at first sex, experimentation with drugs. In fact, residents of adolescents, let's say those who live in rural against urban, those who live in slums against those who live in areas that you will not say that is habitable. I also even look at adolescents from broken homes, adolescents from single parents. All these things are dynamics and variables that influence who you become. Because growing up, if you have father in the house, naturally there is that fear for fathers. So you are unlikely to veer off. If you grow up in a slum where there is no control on you, obviously you grow up to join this either armed robbery for the boys and drug abuse and the girls prostitution. If you grow up with single mothers, how, especially we boys, very stubborn, mothers cannot control us. Do you get my point? If someone grows in a rural area compared to an urban area, the urban child is exposed to a lot of things. We are having this program now. Adolescents in the rural area may not even have an internet connection to be able to even listen to whatever we are discussing. But a child in an urban area will have access to electricity, will have access to television, internet services. So these dynamics influence, and I also looked at the source of knowledge for adolescents because one of the main influence or drivers of adolescent lifestyle is knowledge. Because my study actually focused deeply on are there relevant services for adolescents currently and how are they utilizing it? If they are not even utilizing it, what is causing that? Or what is it that is preventing them from utilizing? So this is the dynamics I found myself that led me to decide to go into adolescent area because I felt that was an interesting area that I pursued my specialty there.
Okay, that's great information that you have shared with us. In everything, there are ups and downs. what are some of your, let's start with the down part, then we take it to the up.
Yes.
What are some of the, challenges you face since you take this uh, career? Did you had any challenges on the field while you're doing the research? You have some challenges with support, either from the institutions that you work with or from the government sectors. Is there any challenges? Share with us.
Yeah.
Our network
I did more comparative. Can you hear me?
yeah, now
Can you hear me now?
our network is kind of like giving you
Yes.
promotion.
Okay. I think that in Ghana and even in the developed world, one challenge I've seen with adolescent health is that a lot of people didn't seem to think it was an issue worth pursuing because they feel that, oh, under fives are dying. And if you give birth and you lose the child, you are a woman, you see how passionate you are about it. So it looks like all policies are geared towards that. And when a mother is going to deliver and the mother dies, it creates a lot of, so it looks like more attention is focused in those areas. So getting literature, getting information, data on adolescent was a bit challenging. In fact, especially in our country, Ghana, where data management is not up to scratch. So that is one area. And even in reviewing literature, I discovered that some of the challenges that researchers, because I did more of comparative studies, so I didn't go to the field per se, but I compare studies. Because of cultural challenges or barriers in our part of the world, especially in Africa, it will be difficult for me to come and sit in front of an adolescent and be asking the person questions about sex, abortion. It will be seen as sacrilegious. Meanwhile, these are kids who are getting involved. In fact, in my study, we discovered that some kids as young as 12 years, 10 years initiated sex. So age as first sex, we had children below 13 years being involved. And the majority of adolescents initiate sex between the age of 14 to 16. That is the highest age. 18, 19 are very few, but age as first sex. So because of these cultural barriers, it becomes very difficult for even these adolescents to open up to speak to you. In one study in a particular area, which was predominantly a Muslim area, they felt that talking to adolescents about sex in itself will trigger them to go and engage in it. But the truth is, they're already engaging in it anyway. So what do we do? Do we pretend they are not doing it, or we expose them? So that is some of the challenges involved in working on adolescent issues. Cultural barriers, religious barriers.
I want to step in here. Recently, I think a year before, uh, it's almost a year, there was Ministry of Education, Ghana, and they bring out some anatomy books to teach the children.
Comprehensive sexual education.
Even I can mention certain languages, how culture has done to me, certain things I can mention publicly. Do you agree with that? Because in your area of adolescent
Yeah.
system, do you agree that we should start from that young age? We should talk about it based on what you said that they are doing it. So since they are doing it, it's a challenge because of our culture. So if this initiative that was brought up and a lot of people, including myself, I'll be honest, we bashed upon it. Do you think it's wrong? We should fall into that and expose the children and tell them this is this is that, how to do this, how to do that. Do you agree?
Okay. I'm also a Christian, a Presbyterian. And I remember in graduate school, I used to discuss with my colleagues the challenge I have when we're discussing abortion care and all those kind of things among adolescents. It was difficult for me initially. But the question that keeps coming up is one, should we pretend they don't know so that these adolescents will get pregnant anyway and then use dangerous means to terminate the pregnancy? One of the study, as part of this study, I discovered that most adolescents try to terminate pregnancy when they get pregnant because of the fear of societal backlash or their parents disagreeing. By so doing, they end up dying. So most of adolescent reproductive health related issues, you will have issues of abortion, unsafe abortion being one of them. Two, sex experimentation. So the question I remember somebody asked me was, should we keep them in the dark? Let them go and experiment, get pregnant and get some friends to give them some concoction to take and die. Some of them who don't die end up destroying their uterus, so they are not able to even give birth. Some of them end up destroying their internal organs and all those kind of things. So for me, the age to initiate is what is very important. I don't think any reproductive health expert will say a 5-year-old should be taught about sex. No. But from the age of 10 upwards, when the person begins to understand certain things, you have to initiate it gradually. You try to elicit information from your child to know whether this child has been exposed to such information. Obviously, when this child is exposed to this information from friends, what the friends will tell them will not be the correct one. So you take advantage, then you build upon it and you build relationship. In fact, one of the best ways of engaging your children in reproductive health, I prefer to call it reproductive health education rather than sexuality. Well, when you mention sex, it triggers a lot of things. But when you say reproductive health education, then it's very broad. So we are talking about the fact that young girls, if they don't even have good nutrition and hygiene, it affects their fertility in their old age.
Right.
So you see, you are not telling the child to go and have sex, but you are telling the child to protect himself for the future. The young boys can also have similar experiences. So they will grow and their fertility goes down and they are not able to reproduce at the age that everybody expects that they should reproduce. Because, so you see, when you talk about adolescent health, it's not only the sexual part, but all other areas come together to work and then support the health of the adolescent. When you talk about adolescent health, for me, I prefer to deal with the broad health issues of adolescent rather than narrowing it to the sexual. Sexual area is just a small portion of it. Adolescent hygiene, it's so important. Young girls, if they don't keep themselves well, they will develop infections, candida, and all those kind of things. They might have not have had sex, but because they don't take good care of themselves, they've had those infections. Young boys, they will begin to become aggressive. You take time, engage your son or daughter. There are sometimes, if you're not careful, they get depressed. If you scream too much on them, they will become timid and grow with that timidity. If you don't control them too, they become too aggressive and they grow to become hooligans. So adolescent period is like roasted plantain. You have to be turning it, so it doesn't get bent.
Right. Wow. I like the point that you focus on the reproductive section instead of just narrowing the small area of
Yes.
thank you on that point. Don't you think that it will also help if there is a program for parents or the adults, because everything starts from home, that we educate the parents that, hey, from this age to this age, you can start, talking about certain things because it's a challenge. I'm telling myself, I'm outside Ghana. We are exposed for so many different things, but I still find it difficult to speak about it. It's hard, like you said, it's the cultural embedded in me that it is difficult for me to talk about with my daughter or my son. Sometimes I'll talk in very vague, in like uncomfortable manner. I'm telling you honestly, but I know they know everything. They taught them in school and so forth. We are focusing in Ghana or Africa, and sometimes the way they bring out things, it's very sad. And like you said, now children younger. Recently, I saw, I think, a 13-year-old pregnant
Yes.
in one, I think, Kumasi area somewhere. And my heart bleeds because even adult being pregnant, what you go through and everything. So certain things that with their reproductive um, education can be rather be focused in the schools instead of teaching sabi you can nuni ba wo ba ni bema or that, that kind of like when I look at the book, the curriculum, I said, this is not proper. Is there something being put in place? Maybe, I don't know. Since you are in that field again, I'll throw it back to you. In the education system, the reproductive education, or there's a curriculum being there taught to the people. Can you hear me? We freeze a little bit. Uh, the network is bothering us a little bit. So if you can hear, but once again, welcome. I can
Of
see
the
you.
areas we,
Yeah, Roger Alote,
but I heard you right.
and I see you, Auntie Alberta Daco. Please share it for us. Also, don't forget, we have the Gadangbe Homecoming, which is from August 9th to the 22nd. We also have the launching, which is coming, Africa Most Beautiful. It's coming on, the launching is coming on 24th, this Saturday. If you are young, beautiful, vibrant, educated, young lady aged from 18 to 26, please visit www.africamostbeautifulusa.com and register. You never know, you might be the winner. I'm telling you. This is Keymama Show. Continue to watch us and share. Don't keep it to yourself. Yo, welcome once again. Our network was acting up, so I have to break in with a short commercial. So welcome back again. So the question I asked is that the education board of education system, is there a curriculum or is there a subject being in there to educate the age range, the adolescent range? Is there as education for them? I've been out from Ghana for a long time. So educate us or tell us if there is any.
Yeah. I remember growing up, our syllabus or our curriculum had section, we have a subject called life skills, where we learned about adolescents. At that time, I remember one of the popular definition we used to quote to write exam was that adolescent is a period of between childhood to adulthood, the period between childhood to adulthood. So we used to quote that quotation. But you raised an important issue that I raised in my research work, which was that there is a need to engage parents seriously to teach them, because the question now is you don't want to talk about sex with your child. And I said reproductive health with your child. Why don't you let your child know that, yes, having feeling for girls or boys is a natural phenomenon. It's not wrong. It will come anyway. You cannot suppress it. So what you do, you try and get the child engaged in some extracurricular activities that will take the child's attention. Ensure that the child's friends, you know all of them. One thing I realized that my parents knew all my friends, and my friends' parents also knew my parents. So if you see a child who is a wayward child trying to influence, you just push your child away. Let the child understand that, yes, you are having a desire, everything, but you should know the ramification of your action. If you go and impregnate, I remember growing up, my father used to threaten me that if you don't know and you impregnate any girl, all that I will do is that I'll let the girl come and live here, and the money I will take you to school will be used to take care of this girl. And you will stay with me. My father was having a cocoa farm, so you come and farm with me on the cocoa farm to take care of your wife whilst your colleagues are going to school. That thing at that time, today, when I look back, sounded funny. But it was one of the things that helped me because I was aspiring to get to the highest level. So when I look at the village I found myself, and the fact that I'm going to remain in that village for the rest of my life, then no, I have to be very careful. Let the girl also know that you getting pregnant now, these are the dangers that comes with it. In fact, like you mentioned, one study showed that young, let me say, young women below the age of 18, when they get pregnant, they are exposed to a lot of dangers physically. Some of them even die during childbirth. The children they produce are low birth children. In fact, some of those children end up being mentally retarded because of all the issues, because their body itself is not mature. So all these problems should be highlighted and made known to the girl. Let her know that, look, you yourself, look at your colleagues, and you, the parents, should be able to use yourself as an example. Do you think if you got pregnant at this young age, 13-year-old, your future had been? So the parents should be included. And two, I think that our communities, our community leaders are very important stakeholders. Our cultural practices have a way of holding us back. But whether you like it or not, today, your child who has a phone can have access to any information in this world. If you are sleeping, they can hide and put a earphone on and watch whatever they want to watch. So you need to what? Guide them and not pretend. Otherwise, you'll be pretending your child is okay, your child is okay, before you realize the child has veered off the road and has become wayward. So I think that first and foremost, we have to look at the parents aspect, and secondly, the community aspect, even our religious leaders. I'm not saying you should stand in church and preach that even as we are preaching, that children obey your parents in the law, do this and that and all those kind of things. We should also let them be aware that some of this, so I like it in my church Presbyterian, for instance, we have children's service, young adults, that is children's service below, I think age 12 to 18, there is a group for them, 18 to 30, there is a group, 30 to 40 before the men's fellowship. All these groupings are meant to take care of the peculiar needs of those children or those individuals in those groups. And I think those are some of the things that, in fact, one of my passions, which I've not yet been able to roll it out, but in the not too distant future, I desire to form an NGO purposely on adolescent health in my hometown, so that I want it to be more comprehensive beyond reproductive health education, but also talks about issues of personal development, because any child who sees the future and begin to have role models will begin to aspire for higher dreams, especially the girls. So if you have a lady below age 30 who has achieved a lot and she's in front of young girls, motivating them, all those things, at least sections of those people will aspire to be like her. And that is what I desire to do. And I know when that time comes, Keymama will come and support me.
Definitely, I will come and support you. Why not? That is why we are here. I have an NGO, which is Keymama Foundation, and we solicit to support those in need. So in the area of education, we are also there. Thank you for mentioning that. In your field, we all know that, how can I put it? their education has been a challenge. Everybody was saying, hey, education is falling short in Ghana, education is falling short in Africa, education is this because people, are now going on the hustling field. The area of adolescent, they are now looking into quick, fast money, fast money. So their focus is not on education. Let's face the facts. Most young teenage nowadays, because they saw someone having a car, someone doing this in your field. How many youth or adolescents or young men or women are in your field? If statistically, if you can share with us.
I didn't know we talked statistics, so I didn't bring figures. But what I can say, I know this question has been influenced by the recent issue in Ghana where some young boys went to kill another child to go and purposely to go and do juju to get money.
Mm-hmm.
I was busy during that period, but I listened to some of the news items. And one issue that came up, I have earlier mentioned it, parental guidance. Check those children, their backgrounds. Check those people who sometimes call social deviants and ask yourself, how many of them are living with their parents, both mother and father, or even one parent? One of the boys was living with the grandfather, quite someone who was very old. And grandfather at that age, what kind of control can he exert on those two? So I think that the area of adolescent health and even adolescence is one area, if we want to minimize crime in our country, we should give so much attention. Unfortunately, as a nation, I will say we failed in that area. We failed because how many, even we have a ministry for gender and social protection, but when it was even started, it was called Women and Children Affairs. So women, adults, children below age 14. So the adolescents were cut off. So how many times have you even heard national programs geared towards adolescents? It's virtually zero. So I don't have the statistics readily here. But what I can say is that a significant chunk of our young people, in this case, 19 down to, let's say, 13, 12, are not getting the kind of guidance that will let them grow to be the adult we desire. And most of them are going wayward. Check the ages of the armed robbers. Most of them are young. You will hardly see somebody of my age going into armed robbery. It is those below 25. That should tell us something, that we are losing it. So for me, as this program is going to go viral and whoever will watch, one of the questions I want the person to ask himself is, even in his house, within his closed circuit, what is that person doing to ensure that the next generation of our country or even humanity are properly trained, not just educated.
Your line went whack again, your network. So if you can hear me.
Mistake, you talk about parent hustling. It's a fact. Okay, very clearly. What I was saying, body is hustling, looking for money. Even as we are doing that, we should not lose sight of the fact that we are hustling because of the children. If you earn so much, put up a house and do all these things, and you die, and your children become misfits, and they sell off all this property, what would you have achieved? You'd have toiled in vain. So we should be conscious about that fact that whatever we do, as for the children, especially when they get into their adolescence period, it is so important to give them so much attention, because some of the boys just desire a parent to affirm him, oh, you are doing so well, you are growing nicely, those kind of things. They will just meet some boys who will just lure them into something else, and before you realize, you can no longer control them. They've gone beyond control. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for bringing the attention on the adolescents. And you know, I have younger ones, and I'm guilty of that. And like I said, the NGO, most of the time we say children, children, but we forget to mention that word, the magic word of the adolescents. And they feel like they've been neglected. I'll use that word. So they are on their own, fending, fighting their way to be adults. So they will fit in. So I really thank you for taking us through this journey. Let me give a shout out to Lady Patience right here. Now, female, so I see you. Please do me a favor. I'll ask you. Without you, there will be no Keymama show. So if you come on and you don't share and you keep the good news to yourself, it is good though, but that is not nice. You know that. So please share for Keymama. And today we have Mr. James Tete and Ehiawey with us. We are discussing about adolescence. Like he said, we focus on the children and the adults. So the in between, the age that we all remembered, that's we normally trying to be a child and adulthood fighting. And that's where the pressure settings if they don't have a good
Yeah.
foundation, a good background, somebody who they can run to and ask questions. That's where some of them fall victim because they have some adult out
Yes,
there
it's true.
is influencing them, telling them all sort of things to entice them, to drive them to certain things. Mr. James,
Yeah.
I know you're here. I have some
Yes.
concern. I when I
Mm-hmm.
visited Ghana, we have all these sports
Mm-hmm.
joints that they do what we call it at
Mm-hmm.
home, cha-cha thing, the gambling, the sports bar.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
saw these adolescent kids flooded at that joint. What is being done about that?
Yes. You see, like we've been saying it, we may sound like a broken record. As a society, in our document or our policies, we will claim we are concerned about adolescents. In fact, when you go to Ghana Health Service, there is a directorate called Family Health Division, where, and I observed that when you read the write-ups there, the one on adolescent is just one small portion, but we have very copious information on maternal health, copious information on infant and child health, but adolescent small. That alone tells you something
Oh, the line went off again.
of the society.
Okay.
And
I have,
the society starts from intent. Some of us have issues. Please, did you hear the example I cited about the Ghana Health Service
no,
documents and all those kind of things? Did you hear that one?
yeah, it breaks where you said there is, a section for adults and children, but adolescent, there's a small portion.
I was saying that the information, yeah. Good. So I was saying that at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I want to repeat myself by saying that the fact that we have these things happening shows how much we failed our young people. Because sometimes when you say young people, we are looking at those in the universities, those in secondary schools. Let's say universities. So young people, universities, because that is where the politicians can mobilize them to campaign for them to win election. But we've forgotten that in 1992, I was a small boy. I didn't have a vote. Now I'm an adult and I can vote. If I was not alive today, will I be able to have voted? Would I even be able to be involved in this kind of education and I'm undertaking? At that time, who knew me that in 1992, when I was just, I think, 10-year old or whatever, I could grow to become somebody who could do such a work. And there are a lot of young people whose lives are just being wasted through alcoholism, gambling. Because you see, some of them who have become drug addicts go into this gambling as a quick access to money so that they can use it to go and buy the drugs. When you check, no decent young person who is serious about his education go and sit in a gambling center. Obviously, no. It is those, I don't want to use the word Mexican, but I say those who have fallen out of the right path who find themselves there. And I think that is why it's so important. And I'm happy we are having this discussion today. I hope somebody somewhere will have access to this video and listen to the discussions we just had. And we begin to take it up and do something to help our young people. Because if you are not careful, like you said, you are in outside Ghana, you go and sweat, do whatever you do. You get some resources, come and put up a house to come and rest, and then these boys will come and pull a gun on you. So sad and so pathetic. Yes.
So thank you. That's also the reason why we are here. We care for them if they are watching and listening. We are not here, we are not judging them, but we are sounding that there is a help out there. That you don't have to, if you're facing a challenge. One thing also that it also bothers me is that we are lacking resources for these adolescents to go to a place that they can go for assistance. Over here, we have it, unless you don't want it. So, if the focus is on other things, women and children, they should have a place. You know, someone might even respond that there's a place. But if you don't come out and state it categorically clearly that, hey, if you need help, call 1234. Or if you need help, go to Article. That's where I live. So I will use that as an example. Go to Article. Go to Article Junction, building 224. It's where you can get help if you're struggling with alcohol, if you're struggling with gambling, if you need food, if you need something, you know, these things help because we learn from where we have come here in abroad, things that help the youth not to use it as excuse. They made it available. And I think Ghana, we can do the same for our youth and the teenagers that are coming. That, hey, this is the facility you can go for assistance. Sometimes you just need one day, maybe small cake and some fish be way to sustain you throughout the day, but there is nothing. So now you will step out there and somebody, an adult or somebody who already messed up fully, will try to recruit you to their circle and they'll give you something
It's
small.
true.
Oh, taste this, and you are going to forget all your troubles. Me and you, we are here today, and we are preaching that someone should come out and support your area of career, which is the adolescent healthcare system. They should build on it and research on it and find and fund it, put funding in that area and see section that they can help this young adults or young people to achieve a better goal for the country, Ghana, and across the world, wherever that they are, that such system or attention is not be given to them. So I really thank you very much for coming on this show. And I know that I'm going to invite you again to
Yeah,
touch on other areas.
yeah.
Keymama Show or Keymama platform is an educational platform. I do social. Sometimes Tuesdays I do the Ghana dialect or Dangbe. I haven't touched that, but I'm good at the Tree area too. So that's a native tongue. Wednesdays, we try to do our English, even if it's not accurate. We mix it with the broken ones, one about each other. Then we move forward. So
Yeah.
our other brothers and sisters who is not, in tune with our dialects will also know or with us on our show. So I would like to thank you once again. Please, before you leave, what are the closing remarks?
Okay, in concluding, you mentioned something about funding that I love so much because currently, even in Ministry of Education, we have school health coordinators who are expected to be teachers who have been trained in health issues to help those children. But because of poor funding, they are not able to function properly. When you go to our hospitals, we have an area called Adolescent Corner. When you go there, if you're a young person, you don't even desire to go there because it is not properly resourced. So the problem of funding is a very key area that you've mentioned. I want to say that I deem it a great honor to be invited to appear on such a great platform. And I also want to say that parents who have listened to us or watch us or may even watch later on, my message is very simple. Adolescence or the period of adolescence is a period that someone will say a conflict period in the individual because that person doesn't know whether he's a child or he's an adult. Because when he sees himself, he's older than those kids. No one baths him or her. He can bath. She knows she's looking good. He's looking good. All those things. Meanwhile, this same person also doesn't have the requisite resources to achieve the things he or she desire. These things create conflicts in the individual in that period or age bracket. Therefore, it is the responsibility of responsible adults to take charge of these individuals and mold them by assuring them, oh, this is just a period you overcome, give them some advice, encouragement, motivation, and before you realize, they've grown to become great people. If your adolescent is having challenges with you, take your time, sit the person down. And I can tell you, before you realize, everything has become smooth and you are having a very smooth home. So thank you very much. And until we meet again, I'll say bye bye for Ghana.
Bye bye, and thank you very much for coming on our show once again. Our doors are open, not just you. If you have colleagues or anyone that can come on this show to educate us what is going on their field, they are also welcome here. So thank you very much. And I thank my viewers and listeners. Please share this information because it is needed. Maybe you don't need it, but someone else might need it. Thank you very much. And once again, I'll see you next week, same time, same day. God bless you and have a good evening and good day wherever you are.